Okay, it is Tuesday. It is lunchtime, which means we are at that time of the week for a little Dallas Cowboys overtime here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel. A gentleman on the other side of the screen is the very happy Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr. This episode of Cowboys Overtime brought to you by the great people at Window Nation who wisely joined us this season just in time for the Dallas Cowboys to predictably start at 4-1. 4-1, and that is with the last four wins coming with Cooper Rush, the backup starting quarterback, improving to 4-0 as the starting quarterback. Clarence, before we get into the Cowboys' most recent win, this time against Los Angeles in L.A., the Rams, not the Chargers. We always forget about the Chargers. I do want you to tell the good folks your funny story about attending the Texas OU game on Saturday at the Cotton Bowl with a crackerjack timing that I've never done before. I was also at Texas 1,000-0, but you went as a fan because I know how much you love the Longhorns. Can you tell the good people exactly what you pulled off timing-wise to catch your flight to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think I set a record. I'm one who will wait to go to the airport at the last minute, pack at the last minute. I live close to the airport. I live in Euless, and so I can time it up just right. And I think I set a personal record, and I've done this many times. But I was at the Cotton Bowl, at the game, great game. Didn't drink. Just wanted the record show. Didn't drink. Had great seats. I was under the overhang. I was not in the sun, so I was. Last year I almost passed out at the game. I was on the 40-yard line right in the sun, and I was just weak. And I've never been that lightheaded before at a football game, just from the heat exhaustions. But great game, obviously great win. I left the Cotton Bowl about 2:30. Got home about 3:15.
That's amazing. That's amazing, the fact that you left the Cotton Bowl at 2:30 and you got back to your house in Euless at a little bit after 3. There's miracle number one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know how to, I know how to hit the crooks and crannies and hit the back roads. I got this thing down. I know how to get there fast and stay off the highways and get in and out of there. So I'm a pro at that. But I get home about 3 and I shower. I pack because I hadn't packed because I had a long night the night before. Had a Texas OU party that I hosted the night before, and we didn't get into like 3. You have to be at the game at 9. You have to get down there for the traffic. I pack, shower, pack, call Uber, and I'm not just at the airport, but I'm through security and at my gate at 4:15.
That's amazing.
Security at my gate at 4:15, and the flight doesn't board till 4:30.
You had a better game plan, and you executed it even better than Oklahoma did against Texas on Saturday. That's the worst performance by an Oklahoma team I've ever seen. I saw the Oklahoma teams under John Blake. I saw the Oklahoma teams under Howard Schnellenberger. I saw the Oklahoma teams under Gary Gibbs. This one Saturday under Brent Venables was the worst I've ever seen. They look like garbage.
No, it was the worst coach Oklahoma. And I said it during the game. The worst coach Oklahoma team I've ever seen. It wasn't just about the quarterback being out.
No, they were bad everywhere.
From a defensive standpoint, from the playmaking, from the decision making. I guess Lincoln Riley leaving was a pretty big deal. Oklahoma, they thought they were going to be okay without Lincoln Riley, right. And with all the players he took with them. It's a little bigger deal than what people thought. And I caution people. I think that these assistants on the Clemson staff that get head coaching jobs are like the assistants from the Bill Belichick staff to get head coaching jobs. Beware. They're not that good.
Yep, I totally agree with you. I didn't like the hire. I thought that, not that I think Brent Venables is a bad coach. I just think certain coaches are better suited for certain roles. But we're not here to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners, even though we could do that for a month and a half because they gave us so much material on Saturday. We are here to talk about the Dallas Cowboys and specifically a defense that actually got better from its last game against the Washington Commanders, after which linebacker Micah Parsons said, "We can be better." Clarence, he was right. They were better against the Rams and Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. They didn't let them do anything, forced 3 turnovers as well. Clarence, I know statistically the Dallas Cowboys are not the best defense in the NFL just yet. They're knocking on the door. It's kind of an open-ended question, so I'm going to have you run with it. just how good is this Cowboys defense?
I mean, it's downright doomsday-esque. And then you look at some of the great defenses that have led teams to titles, whether the Bears, the Ravens, maybe not, I don't know, but this defense is special. They're not giving up anything. They're not giving team points. And I want to apologize. I just want to apologize to the Cowboys offense, because one reason why I was hard on them in training camp, coming out of training camp and coming to the season, the receivers, because they didn't score touchdowns in camp. I've never been at training camp where the offense, I'm telling you, you can probably count one or two, all the practices that the Cowboys had dating back to August. I know I can count on two hands, if not one hand, how many times the offense scored touchdowns in team drills. I ain't talking about no goal. I'm talking about team drills, where they went down the field and scored. It
right.
didn't happen. And so
wait, real quick, hang on. I got to ask this question. You said you want to apologize to the offense and specifically the receivers. Clarence, you and I both need these guys read and watch what people say about them. Did you get a little bit? Have you been getting it from the players at all in the locker room?
No. I mean, not really. But I'm just saying that there's a reason why they didn't score. The same reason why the Bucs only scored one touchdown. The Bengals only scored one touchdown with their quarterback and their receiving crew. The Giants only scored one touchdown. They scored a few more against Green Bay this week in London, didn't they? The Giants only scored one touchdown.
Yeah.
Washington only scored one touchdown. And the Rams with Cooper Kupp and that Super Bowl offense and that brilliant offense coordinator only scored one touchdown. You don't score touchdowns on this Cowboys defense, and they rise to the occasion. And I think that, you look at the last 2 weeks, they've gotten situations where the offense are bad punts and put them in situations where, the other team is at the ball and scoring territory in the fourth quarter, which could have game-turning moments in the game after short punts. The other team did not score. It happened against Washington, and it happened, against the Rams. 1st and 10 at the Cowboys 29, late in the fourth quarter. They end up they missed a 51-yard field goal because the defense pushed them back. But this defense is special, and it has a chance to get better because you're getting guys back. You talk about the offense having a chance to get better, but this defense has a chance to get better. And Michael Parsons leading the way. This pass rush is ferocious. Certainly is the best pass rush we've seen around here in a long time, probably since the 90s. And the thing about, like the 90s, they rotate guys. They have a number of guys that they rotate in and out. And I can't say enough about the secondary. Sure, everybody wants to jump on Diggs because he gave up. See, he gives up the long play.
I don't care.
He gave up one play.
Anybody killing Trayvon Diggs, you've lost me. The
He
guy
gave
makes
up one play.
plays that changes games.
I'm not the rest of the game.
I'm not listening to this whole bag on Trayvon Diggs. I mean, anybody you want to nitpick anybody, you can probably nitpick Micah Parsons if you wanted to. Nitpicking there isn't a team in the NFL right now that would not put Trayvon Diggs as their starting cornerback if given the opportunity. The end. So that's the way you got a player. Would that guy, would another team take him and start him? Yes. Cowboys have a handful of those guys. Not everybody does that. So this idea that Trayvon does this, no, tell me what he does. And that guy makes plays.
Yeah.
Hard stop.
And the thing about it is a lot of people, we didn't know how good the Cowboys defense was because they don't have a plethora of names. You have Diggs as All-Pro and you have Micah, but outside of that, there are no All-Pro names on it. DeMarcus Lawrence has not been All-Pro in a couple of years. Okay?
No, but he's a good player, and he made.
No, he is. I'm just talking about coming.
No, you're right.
He's playing the best football he's played in a while this year. But I'm saying the last couple of years he's not been DeMarcus Lawrence. They got the big money, and Leighton is good. They got solid linebackers. The secondary safeties are good, but these safeties are this safety group as a whole. Is the best safety group the Cowboys have had. Since I've covered the team, maybe since the 70s. When you had the Cliff Harris and Charlie Waters, Benny Barnes, those groups, but they're so deep, and that's what's special about them. They have players. They're deep on the defensive line. They're deep in linebacker. They're deep in safety, and that's why they can come at you in waves. The other guy you mentioned it. We talked about Anthony Barr. They've got guys on this team. We've said Deontay Fowler's a few times, or Deontay Fowler's name a few times, but the guy we've said more of the offseason guys they picked up off the street for cheap is Anthony Barr. Now, the challenge with any of these guys is can they stay healthy? And I know watching Tank Lawrence, you and I have watched him for a long time, really good player, looks great. As long as he stays healthy. And if they can keep reducing just the number of plays that he needs to play, that gives them obviously a greater opportunity to get significant plays from him when they need it. And they got it. Dorrance Armstrong made a couple of huge plays
on Sunday. Look, Clarence, we have been talking about how great Cooper Rush is as a backup quarterback starting. He was not very good against the Rams on Sunday, but he didn't turn the ball over, and he did just enough. I mean, go look at those passing statistics. They're not that great.
Yeah, and we'll get to that.
Complete 10 passes?
Yeah, 10 passes on 2 yards.
10 passes. That's like Rice University playing, SMU in football or something, or Air Force. You don't win NFL games completing 10 passes, but they did it. Cooper Rush is 4-0 as a starting quarterback. We are 1 week further along the way with Dak Prescott having recovered from his thumb injury. Okay, Clarence, is Dak Prescott back?
That's something the Cowboys are looking at this week. He'll practice Wednesday or try to practice Wednesday. He's got a doctor's appointment today. Dr. Jerry says, it's a matter of pain and can he spin the ball? But so the luxury of the 4 wins is that you don't have to push him back this week. You can if he's not ready, you can give him another week. You can let this be truly decided by the medical and not by the angst of your season angst. So we have to win this game. This is not a must win for the Cowboys. This is a must win for Philadelphia. They're the one that's undefeated. They're
Dallas,
the one at home. This is not a must win. This is a must win for Philadelphia because
it's not a must win. Let's be honest. Hang on. This isn't a must win for either team. Philadelphia's 5-0. Dallas is 4-1. Hang on. Dallas is 4-0. Dallas has not lost to a divisional opponent since 2020. They ran the table last season. They defeated Washington. They defeated the Giants, who look a little bit maybe better than we thought because they just beat Green Bay and London. New York's 4-1. But Philadelphia does not need to win this game. They're going to be okay regardless of the outcome. Hang on. I know what you're talking about. When the week started, last night, Monday night, Dallas opened as a 5.5-point underdog to Philadelphia. Since that, the line has dropped by a point down to 4.5, which means one of two things. One, people love betting the Cowboys. And they'll bet the Cowboys, even if they're 0-50, they will bet the Cowboys. The other one is somebody setting this line thinks number 4 is going to start. I don't. Do you think Dak Prescott's going to start on Sunday night in Philadelphia?
My gut tells me no at this point. I know he wants to start, but my gut tells me no. But I do want to point this out. The only reason I say it's more pressure on Philly because the Cowboys are even if Dak plays, they know they're going to get better. Because Dak is not going to be hitting on all cylinders in his first game back after not throwing the ball in 3 weeks. And then you have Cooper Rush, the quarterback. The Eagles are the ones who are flying high. They're the ones who've been considered the best team in the NFC. They're playing their best football right now. To lose to the Cowboys will be a bigger blow. Obviously, the season's not over. You got plenty of games left. Clearly, there are no real must-wins in early October. But just from a mental standpoint, for a Cowboys team that's on the division, from all of that stuff, all the talk in Philadelphia, this is a big deal. This is a big game. And I think that just as the October games go, it's more important for Philadelphia than Dallas to win this game. But as far as Dak Prescott's concerned, whether he plays or not, whenever he plays or not, just talking to Jerry Jones, he was on the radio this morning. He believes that certainly we've talked about it before, they're going to continue the same style, the same formula.
Yeah, and that's a big thing.
They're going to continue the same formula with strong defense, running game, being conservative. The difference with Dak and Cooper is Dak does give you the ability when you need to make a big play, you need to throw the ball down the field. When you need to score more points, he gives you that element that Cooper doesn't. He's a better thrower. He's a better quarterback. Again, Cooper, 10 completions, 102 yards. Now, this is the first time, and I don't know what the stat is. I need to go look it up, but there were no completions to running backs or tight ends in this game.
Yeah, and anybody, Clarence, who thinks that the Dallas Cowboys should be starting Cooper Rush over a healthy Dak Prescott needs to go back and watch that game against the Rams from Sunday afternoon. All right, we got a lot more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime. But right now, we're going to take a break from the fantastic people who I love more than anything at Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you, Window Nation, for riding with us here on Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. All right, Clarence, obviously the stars of the game from Sunday were pretty much everybody on defense. There were 2 players on offense, however, who were noteworthy, especially the backup running back, Tony Pollard, who ripped off an electric long touchdown run, a run that we have not seen around here since Tony Pollard did it last season against the Saints, the type of run we have not seen from Ezekiel Elliott since about his rookie season. Together, they're a really good running back. As single units, I don't know if I'm crazy about either one of them. Former Dallas Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson, now an NFL analyst on the Fox pregame and halftime shows, says they've got to give Tony Pollard the ball a little bit more. Obviously, Clarence, he had the ball 8 times on Sunday. I don't think they can go much past 10 or 12. Do you think they're going to do it much more than 8 to 10 to 12?
Well, the problem with Sunday's game,
at his maximum.
No, the problem with Sunday's game is they didn't have the ball a lot on offense. And people get so that skews the numbers. I mean, again, there were no passes to backs or tight ends. They only threw 16 passes in the game. Getting the ball to Tony is more about not just running the ball, but getting to it in the passing game. They didn't have the ball a lot. They didn't throw the ball a lot. And it's not like Zeke had 25 carries himself.
22 carries. Clarence, I think they only ran about 45 offensive plays.
Right.
Which
they did not run a lot
usually
of plays
about 60.
Because you had the block punt, because you had a number of things that skewed the game. So they didn't have the ball a lot. But yeah, you want to get in more than 8 carries. But I think how the Cowboys are using them as a tandem, and that's what matters most. They've talked about them being a tandem. They were both on the field together, a couple of short yardage plays. Where Zeke was at fullback and they handed the ball to Zeke. They could have handed it to Tony, depending on the situation. But they want them out on the field. They want him being on the field as a threat. He is a threat when he's on the field. And how the Cowboys are using them together in tandem, in concert, that is why he has the big play. You want to keep in his legs. And so
I want you to explain this because you and I both know it. We got to talk about it because it happened on Sunday against the Rams. There's a couple of reasons why he's not starting or seeing any more action. He's just not a very good pass blocker. He's really good at a lot of things, but as a blocker and someone in pass protection, I'm not sure the NFL has ever had a better running back blocking than Zeke Elliott. There have been good ones. Zeke is as good as they come. Guy's a glorified fullback, tight end, guard. He's that good at it. There was a play on Sunday where Tony Pollard got blown up and damn near got Cooper Rush killed. Is that ultimately, I'm convinced that's the single biggest reason why we don't see more of him, Tony Pollard, is because they cannot trust him as a pass protector.
I mean, I don't think it's simple as that. He also missed a blitz pickup. And I think that if you look back at the injury that Dak got hurt back in the Tampa Bay game, that was some of Tony's work as a pass blocker as well. But, I mean, I think that's part of the equation. But, again, it's really more about Tony's never carried the load going back to high school.
Did he do it in high school?
I don't think so. And, so like in college, he was a receiver, running back. Right. He was never a full-time back. And they want to keep the juice in his legs. They want not just for fourth quarter games, but the fourth quarter of the season. It's a long season. And they want Tony at his juicy, springiest, flashiest, speediest best when they need him, which is why you pound him with Zeke. You hit him with Tony. You pound him with Zeke. You soften him up. And then you got Tony coming in with that speed. That's a different angle for the defensive backs and linebackers and the defense line to have to tackle. It just had worked well, and it worked great on Sunday. I mean, how can you complain about how the running game worked? I mean, Zeke was averaging over 4 yards a carry. Tony, 8 touches. He had the big 57-yard run. It worked. And at the end of the game, but it was the running game that led them on that field goal drive. They really put.
Oh yeah, with that clock draining, game killing drive, absolutely. They were good. I think you're right. I think the problem is that sometimes you see that run, that long run. That was an exciting play, and you think just do it a few more times. We'll get another one.
Right? They're gonna think. He's not O.J. Simpson. He's not. I mean, I guess we can't use O.J. anymore. He's not Tony Dorsett.
Did you have to go, O.J.?
He's not going to break 57 yards every time he touches the ball. We think that. But
let's focus on why you got O.J. on the brain. Like, why we got to go to 32? Why do we got to go to the juice? You know what I mean? Can't we? Gail Sears?
Juice was a bad boy. Juice. It was a childhood flashback. Watching Juice slide on the snow.
There's all kinds of other flashbacks, though. Orenthal James Simpson. Let's move on to a more entertaining topic that has a little bit more safe answers rather than comparing them to O.J. Simpson. Clarence, I don't know if you know this. The Dallas Cowboys are 4-1 here in 2022. In 2021, the Dallas Cowboys were 4-1. You and I are on the same page about this, but tell me, good sir, why 4-1 in 2022 is greater than 4-1 in 2021.
You are what your record says you are, unless there's some different ways of doing it. There's different ways of skinning the cat here. And it's just because of how they're winning. They're winning with their defense. They're winning with running. I mean, I think this is a true testament of lasting over the long haul. It's not the flashy passing game, because once they found out the blueprint of the passing game, the style of play of the Cowboys offense, the Cowboys team was not the same. I don't think there's not a blueprint that you can say that we're going to stop how you play defense. We're going to stop how you run the ball. This just seems it's the foundation of this seems better, stronger, better suited for the long haul to be what the Cowboys want to be and have success in the playoffs.
Yeah, and this is a little bit off topic, but I do want to bring this up as we've got a couple more minutes here. The Cowboys were criticized, justifiably so, about some of the players. They made no effort to get in the offseason. First of all, there was starting right tackle La'el Collins, who was cut, signed by the Cincinnati Bengals, and I don't know if anybody has bothered to watch the Bengals so far. La'el Collins has been terrible. He's going to get Joe Burrow killed. So you got to give Cowboys credit for having the foresight to let him go and replace him with Terrence Steele, a former undrafted player who's developed into a pretty serviceable and will probably be a long-time tackle in this league. Another one is drafting Tyler Smith. Now, obviously, he got schooled a lot by
in
Aaron
the first
Donald.
half, not the second half.
No, he got better. But
we keep talking about the first half, but we didn't hear his name called in the second half.
No, we didn't, and he got better. He's a really good athlete, and it looks like, at least at that left tackle spot, it looks like Tyler Smith is going to work out, because he was pressed into that spot when Tyron Smith suffered what will probably be a several-month preseason injury. Earliest they're going to get him back is December. Now you're at a point and say, I don't know if really you're going to need him back at all. The other one is letting Randy Gregory go to Denver. And Randy's been pretty good in Denver, but the guys who have replaced him, namely my fellow Kansas alum Dorrance Armstrong, he's been pretty good. And that defensive line's been pretty good without Randy. We weren't so sure about that. So I think we've got to give credit to all those different personnel moves that so far here, 5 games into the regular season, have really worked out for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I wrote about it last week in the Star Telegram. Give Cap Boy credit. I don't know if you saw the Cap Boy headline. I wrote about it. It's time to give Stephen Jones and Will McClay and those guys credit, because they made these decisions. We like our guys. Well, they're like guys like them back, because they're certainly performing for them. And it's not just they let Randy Gregory go and allowed them to sign Dorrance, because they were immediately pivoted and re-signed Dorrance, who has more sacks than Randy Gregory this season. Randy Gregory is also on injury reserve, going to be out several weeks, which Jerry talked about availability. They signed Dante Fowler. They also signed Leighton Vander Esch with the money they were going to pay Randy Gregory. So, it worked out financially for the team. Certainly, you look at you talked about Terrence Steele. That right side of that offensive line, Terrence Steele and Zach Martin, have not given up a sack this season.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. And you know what? We got to give them credit for Cooper Rush. They stuck with him. Nobody thought it was a good. I certainly didn't. I was like, you got to find somebody else who can develop. But Cooper Rush has done a good job. Also did a good job, Clarence. That's you covering this Cowboys team. You will be in Philadelphia on Sunday night for Sunday Night Football. Cowboys, Eagles, first place on the line in the NFC East. Eagles currently a 4.5-point favorite. The LA Rams were 5.5-point favorite. Mike McCarthy says, we're nobody's underdog. Vegas disagrees. Clarence, real quick, give me a prediction. I'll chime in too. Who's going to win on Sunday night, Dallas or Philadelphia?
I guess I've learned my lesson from picking against the Cowboys. I said last week the bubble had to burst, right? The Cooper Rush bubble had to burst against the Rams. Why did it have to burst? I mean, if the way the Cowboys playing defense now, granted, the Eagles were playing out of their minds. They have played out of their minds, but they should have lost last week in Arizona. That was really more about your boy Coach Bro and Kyler Murray messing up the late game situation.
Does he still have a job? God, all these guys stealing money.
After the Eagles went up to, they scored their first 2 touchdowns, they did nothing the rest of the game. And really for the Cowboys, it's about, the Eagles, especially the quarterback, they're good early, and you get out the scripted play, but once it becomes a game, they're beatable. And that offense has struggled in third and fourth quarters because of that. And so, again, this Cowboys team rises to the occasion, and they've done it all season. I'm going to give them an opportunity and give them credit that they have a chance to do it again. Cowboys 20, Eagles 17.
All right, I think you're right. I think the Cowboys are going to win this. I think this is going to be pretty ugly. I'm going 17-16 over Philadelphia. I'm going to keep picking them until they prove me wrong. You know who doesn't prove anybody wrong? That is the good people at Window Nation, who always proves themselves right. They're great customer service and products. I just made that up because it's true. Thank you, great people at Window Nation, for riding with us here on Cowboys Overtime. For all of your Dallas Cowboys coverage needs, as well as TCU too, check us out on StarTelegram.com. For Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., I'm Mac Engel. We will see you next week.